Whenever you make some data changes in Salesforce, the trigger is not the only thing that gets executed. Salesforce has a lot of config level tools and a lot of out of the box tools that gets executed when you make some data level changes. So we are going to discuss the end-to-end order of execution, like in which order these automation takes place and how they affect the complete execution cycle. So first your process starts, and this means you make some data level changes. Either you create some record, you update some record, or maybe you delete some record or undelete it. So that will initiate the complete process. After that, Salesforce executes the system validation rules, and these rules are defined on each and every field. For example, if you create an email field, then Salesforce validates the data in that particular email field, whether it's a correct email or not. The same goes for the phone number fields and all the other type of fields. The next thing is record triggered flows, and these are the visual flows that are defined to execute when something changes in a particular record. After that, the before triggers are executed, and this is where our apex trigger comes in picture. So everything that you write in before triggers will execute in this step. Then the custom validation rules takes place. So if you use the Salesforce UI to define some custom validation rules on each and every object, these executes in this step. Then the duplicate rules are executed, and then the record is saved in the database. However, this is not committed. So this means this save is not permanent and it can be rolled back. I mark this in white because this is something that happens directly in the database. After this, the after triggers are executed. And I mark this in orange because these after triggers can execute this execution cycle for all the other records that we update in these after triggers. For example, in the previous video, we created the task record when a lead is created. So in that example, when the lead record was created and we were in the after insert event, then we were creating these task records. So all this execution cycle will happen on the task object as well. All the validation rules and all the before triggers and custom validation rules will again execute on the task object. So that's the reason I marked this in orange, because it can initiate the execution cycle for all the other records. After this, the assignment rules are executed, then the auto response rules are executed, then the workflow rules are executed. I marked this in orange because workflow rules also include the field updates. So when you update a field, then it can trigger the complete process again. So this means the before trigger and after trigger will execute again. After this, the process builder and visual flows will execute. Then the escalation rules and entitlement rules are executed. After this, the record triggered visual flows will execute again. And this time, the flows which are defined to execute after the record is saved will execute. Then the rollup summary field will be calculated on the parent object. And I marked this in orange again because this can trigger the execution cycle on the parent object. As soon as the rollup summary field on the parent object is updated, then the before trigger and after trigger will also execute. After this, the sharing rule evaluation will happen and the sharing rules will be calculated. Finally, all the DML changes will be committed to the database, and this time it will be permanent. That means it cannot be rolled back. And after this, there can be some extra steps as well, which can be like sending an email or all the post-processing steps. So this is how the normal execution cycle looks like in Salesforce, which involves more than 20 steps. So keep in mind when you are writing your automation, because some of these steps can execute or can trigger the execution cycle again. So you need to make sure that none of your code executes multiple times or it doesn't execute in an unintentional way.